Now, if I open up the Windy Darling attribute table, it's empty, right? Because we didn't have any source data to load in that. So I'm going to close the append geo process, and I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the statement of work. And there you can see we're in summary task 3, load data into schema. And if I advance the statement of work to figure 19, there we go. I can see the Windy Darling character card for the Peter Pan board game. And this is what we're going to use to populate the Windy Darling standalone table. And there's 24 outcomes, and there'll be 24 records in our table. So I'm going to advance to the next task, add tabular record data. Now, it's kind of hard to see the rotated figure 19. So if we jump over to Windows File Explorer and browse down to our course and project folder, in the 00 source data folder under modeling Neverland source data, and if I scroll all the way down, you'll see in the source data I've included a Windy Darling card.jpg, and if you double click it, it's not rotated. So it might be a little bit easier for you to open up the Windy Darling card and utilize that to enter in all 24 of your outcomes into your table. So I'm going to go ahead and close the image and Windows File Explorer. And then now I'm going to start entering in my data. So I'm just going to click to add new. And then you can see the location field is tied to an attribute domain that restricts the values to the locations. I'm going to select Rock Island for the first one. Go ahead and resize my columns. I'm going to enter in 1 for my first number at Rock Island, and then the outcome for that, which if I look at the character card, it's danger, space hyphen space, lose a turn. Hit enter to record the record. And then now I'm going to click to add a second row. I'm going to select my location, which is Rock Island, and my number, which is 2, and my outcome, which is all is well, comma, take an extra turn. Click enter. Now notice that it's automatically updating the object ID. That's a system ID. I don't enter that in. So I'm going to click to add another record in Rock Island. This time we're going to test the range domain. I'm going to enter in a 0 and hit enter. And because the range domain is set to 1 to 4, it gives me the minimum. Or if I enter a number that's over the maximum, it ends up being 4. So I'm going to change it to 3. And then my outcome is a storm is brewing, comma, go back 5 spaces, hit enter. Rock Island for my fourth outcome. I'm going to enter the number 4, and my outcome is smooth sailing, go ahead 3 spaces. Now I'm going to enter in one more record before I speed up the video. This is for Crocodile Creek, and it's going to be number 1. And the outcome is the coast is clear, comma, advance 4 spaces. All right, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and advance the video, but you need to enter all 24 outcomes from the Windy character card. All right, so I'm entering in my second to last outcome, you escape, comma, take an extra turn. And then here's my last outcome, which is going to be at Captain Hook's ship. It's going to be outcome number 4. And the outcome is you walk the plank, comma, lose a turn, and hit enter. Now, notice that my object IDs got out of order. It's not a big deal. It's because that's the system ID and the computer's keeping track. So I deleted a couple of records when I was entering in all my data, and that's why my object ID is different. But that's okay as long as I have 24 records in my Wendy Darling standalone table. Now I need to save my edit, so I'm going to go to the Edit ribbon and click under Manage Edits on the Enabled Save button, and that will record my edits in my geodatabase. Go ahead and click Save, and yes. And there you can see is my completed Wendy Darling table. Go ahead and close all of the table views. Now that your data is loaded, you need to review your geodatabase to ensure the schema and data are correct. Begin by zooming and panning the view to verify all of your features are present. Are all the dots, paths, and islands visible in your Neverland map view? Now we'll verify all of your records are present. In the Contents pane, we'll right-click on each of the standalone tables and feature classes and open the table view. Are all of the tables populated with values? Are all of the attribute domains correctly associated with their fields? Are the values within the fields within the restricted attribute domains, including the minimum maximum, for example, of the number field? Verify that your subtype is applied correctly. And so there you can see the subtype is loaded in the symbology. And if I open the attribute table, I can see that all the values loaded in the subtype field as well. It's an integer field, but it's showing me the coded description for each of the subtypes. Go ahead and close all of the table views. Now we'll verify that your relationship class performs as expected. But first, we need to configure the display field for each of the standalone tables. So I'm going to right-click on John Darling and open the properties and go to the display group and change the display field to number and click OK. And now I'm going to repeat this process for each of my standalone tables. And now I'm ready to test the relationship class. So I'm going to select the dots layer, and then on the map ribbon, make sure the Explore button is set to selected in contents. And then I'm going to click on the large spot, which is Skull Rock. And that's going to open up the pop-up window and the attributes for the large spot. And if I resize the windows, I can drill down into the related records. In this case, the John Darling records. I'm going to expand that. And then there are each of the 4 outcomes from the display field, 1, 2, and 3, 4. And if I look in the bottom panel, I can actually see the outcomes. And so go ahead and drill down into all 4 of the character cards and make sure that the associated records are there. All right, good job. Now we need to import the raster cell data. And so on the View ribbon in the Windows group, I'm going to click on the Geoprocessing pane. And that opens the Geoprocessing pane. And then under Find Tools, I'm going to search for the Raster to Geodatabase tool. Open the Raster to Geodatabase conversion tool. And for the input rasters, I want to input the source data, including the DEM TIFF, the Hillshade TIFF, and the original game.jpg. I need to set my output geodatabase. I'm going to set that to my Modeling Neverland file geodatabase. And then click Run to run the geoprocess and import my raster source data as raster datasets in my file geodatabase. There you can see it completed successfully. And if I right-click my Modeling Neverland geodatabase and select Refresh. I can see my DEM, Hillshade, and original game raster datasets in my Modeling Neverland geodatabase. Go ahead and close the geoprocessing pane. Save your ArcGIS Pro project. This concludes Summary Task 3.